Hello everyone! Today we're diving into something that might seem simple on the surface, but is actually incredibly complex. We're talking about why some children struggle with jumping. You might think jumping is just about leg strength, but the reality is far more fascinating. Jumping is actually a window into brain development and understanding why a child can't jump well can tell us a tremendous amount about their neurological maturation. When parents or teachers say, "My child can't jump," they're often dismissed with responses like, "They just need more practice," or "They're not athletic." But recent neuroscience research has completely changed how we understand this. Jumping difficulty isn't just a physical problem. It's a developmental signal from the brain and nervous system that deserves our attention. Let me explain what actually happens when we jump. It's not just leg muscles pushing off the ground. Jumping requires you to crouch at exactly the right moment. Contract all your leg muscles simultaneously, maintain balance, while airborne, and land safely without falling. This sequence involves the cerebellum coordinating movement, the brain's timing control systems, spatial awareness, and appropriate responses to sensory input. Multiple neural networks must work together seamlessly. Jumping is what we call a gross motor skill, but it's actually one of the most sophisticated movements a young child learns to perform. Here's what's really important to understand. Jumping develops over years, not weeks. A 1 to 2-year-old stumbles while attempting two-footed jumps. By 2 to 3 years, they can jump in place. At 3 to 4 years, they start hopping on one foot and jumping forward. By 5 to 6 years, they've refined their power control and timing. This isn't laziness or lack of effort. This is the nervous system, muscles, and sensory integration maturing over time. Now let's talk about what's happening in the brain during a jump. The cerebellum acts as the conductor of the orchestra, coordinating timing and smooth movement. The premotor cortex plans the jump before it happens, sending signals to prepare the muscles. The somatosensory cortex and visual cortex match what you see with what your body feels, creating accuracy. And the vestibular system in your inner ear maintains balance when you're floating in the air, experiencing changes in gravity and acceleration. All of these brain regions must communicate perfectly, or the jump falls apart. When a child struggles with jumping, we typically see 3 patterns. First, awkward or disjointed movement. Their arms don't swing at the right time. Their knees bend late. They can't transmit leg power efficiently, and they lose balance when landing. This suggests underdevelopment of motor coordination and can be a sign of Developmental Coordination Disorder, or DCD, which affects about 5 to 6% of children. Research by Wilson and colleagues in 2013 showed that children with DCD have deficits in jump coordination and low movement reproducibility. Second, timing problems. The child can't match the ready, set, go with their jump. They can't do consecutive jumps. Rhythm-based activities like clapping games or skipping are difficult. This relates to timing processing in the cerebellum, supplementary motor area, and basal ganglia. Studies by Ivry and Spencer in 2004 showed that timing errors stem from cerebellar dysfunction. Thout's research in 2009 demonstrated that music therapy and rhythm exercises can effectively improve timing disorders. Third, fear and anxiety about jumping. Some children say, "Jumping is scary," or "I don't like floating." This isn't about physical ability. It's about sensory processing differences or underdeveloped vestibular sense. They may hesitate even at small steps, dislike the floating sensation, or freeze on a trampoline with eyes closed. This happens when vestibular sense from the inner ear and proprioceptive sense from muscles and joints aren't integrating properly. Schaaf's research in 2014 found that children with sensory integration challenges show anxiety and movement avoidance behaviors. But sensory integration therapy can improve their response to jumping and swaying. Here's what we need to understand about the brain and muscle partnership. It's not just about leg strength. It's about muscle control, meaning how muscles are used. Proper muscle control means the quadriceps, hamstrings, and calf muscles activate in the correct sequence. with core and hip muscles engaging first before transmitting power to the extremities. This is called feedforward control, where the brain sends anticipatory commands to muscles before movement begins. Research by Hatters-Algra in 2000 showed that normal motor development requires anticipatory postural adjustment. EMG studies show that children who jump well have clear sequential contraction patterns in their muscle activation. There's also something called the central pattern generator, or CPG, a neural circuit in the spinal cord that creates basic movement rhythms for repetitive actions like walking and jumping. Jumping becomes smooth through learning and repetition as the motor cortex, cerebellum, and spinal cord work together. This involves neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt. For children with persistent jumping difficulties, we need to consider developmental coordination disorder. DCD is a neurodevelopmental condition where age-appropriate motor skills aren't acquired. According to DSM-5, it's diagnosed when motor clumsiness clearly appears in daily life, academics, or sports, and can't be explained by other neurological conditions. Brain imaging research by Zwicker in 2012 showed reduced activity in the cerebellum, parietal lobe, and premotor cortex in children with DCD. We also need to consider sensory integration dysfunction. When vision, vestibular sense, and proprioception don't integrate well, children may feel like they don't know where their feet are when jumping, find the floating sensation unpleasant, or fall easily on landing. Schaff and Miller's meta-analysis in 2005 showed that sensory integration therapy effectively improves motor function and reduces anxiety. So what can we do to help? First, rhythm and timing exercises. Combine movement with music. Try clapping jumps where you jump to music beats, drum beat patterns with different jump combinations, or rhythmic rope jumping even without an actual rope. Thout's research showed that rhythmic movement strengthens cerebellum motor cortex connectivity and improves motor performance. Second, sensory integration activities. For children who fear jumping, gentle sensory approaches work best. Trampolines provide rhythmic vertical movement with controllable height and less fear, plus they promote leg extension reflexes. Balance balls offer varied stimulation through sitting, bouncing, and rolling, developing dynamic pelvic, core, and hip stability. Swings and rotating equipment provide multi-directional vestibular stimulation that builds spatial awareness. Third, cerebellar activation through cross-pattern movements. Try having the child alternately touch right hand to left knee, do animal walks like bear crawls, or combine opening and closing feet with raising and lowering arms. Diamond's research in 2000 showed that complex cross-pattern movements effectively strengthen cerebellum prefrontal cortex networks. But here's what's most important. We need to shift our perspective from can't do it to developing. Many children naturally improve at jumping as they grow. Developmental speed varies tremendously between individuals. What looks like inability today may simply be a matter of not yet reaching that developmental stage. When we label children as uncoordinated or not athletic, we damage their self-perception and motivation. Research by Harder and Pike in 1984 showed that negative self-evaluation leads to reduced challenge-seeking behavior. Instead, we should focus on small victories. Notice when core movement becomes more stable, when timing occasionally aligns during practice, when landing balance improves. Comment on effort rather than outcome. Say you tried even though it was scary instead of you failed. This activates the brain's reward system and builds self-efficacy. For parents and educators, remember that comparing children is harmful. Avoid saying other kids your age can do this. Instead, track individual growth. Did they jump 1 centimeter higher than yesterday? Did they keep their feet together today? Did they try without as much fear? These small changes, when verbalized, clearly become internal rewards for the child. Make movement playful at home. Line up couch cushions as jump platforms. Create jump missions over obstacles. Incorporate trampolines into daily routine. Frame activities as stories, let's jump like frogs, or astronaut launch jumps, or ninja training. Narrative context dramatically increases motivation. And don't hesitate to seek professional support if jumping difficulties are significant or impact daily life. Pediatric developmental clinics, occupational therapists, and physical therapists can provide proper assessment and individualized intervention. Mandich's research in 2002 showed that combining occupational therapy with home support greatly improves daily functioning and self-evaluation in children with DCD. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more evidence-based insights into child development. Thank you so much for watching.